In this new 6-part series, I'm going to show you how me and Cease prepared, executed, and won the World Showdown of Esports 3. Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Elevate bringing you back another video. Today we're going to be on part 2 of the 6-part series of Wsoe, how we won it, and this was our second game of the day, and it was actually our worst game that we had. We didn't really make a terrible decision, but we didn't make the best decision, and we didn't make the decisions that had the best odd of having a successful outcome. Now I'll explain to that later, and I'll explain what you can do, and a lot of what Fortnite, how you gotta kind of think. You can't always think of short term, which is kind of what we did here. We didn't really think of the long term effects of this game. We kind of more thought about just being safe for the time, and that actually really screwed us and lost us this game pretty much. So I'm going to be going over that, and I'll be going over a lot of other things, but I'm just going to hop right into it. And this is actually early game. Now, we did have whaling uncontested for almost every one of these games, but this game we were actually pretty successful on our early game loot. I believe we both had a full loadout, and we had shield, so we ended up very quickly just getting 300 mats each, and we ended up because of the fact that we had dominated the people edit house the first game, we ended up being able to go to the block at the time, which was a very heavily mat focused block. It was pretty much like a mini tilted. We were actually able to go here, and we were able to kill Armada, Legit, and J Young off spawn. Now, because of the way rifts work, and even with this, why we love the block so much is the guaranteed high ground. So in order for them to not give up high ground, they pretty much have to sit someone up here and just sacrifice all their mats. And even then, if they sit someone up here, it's gonna be a 1v2 for us, and we can probably both land on them. So at the time, the reason we loved rifting so much is pretty much that guaranteed high ground. There was not going to be a fight for that high ground, so we didn't need as many mats. All our mats were mainly focused on being able to counter build and being able to actually steal edits on people and be aggressive. And because of that, that's one reason me and Cease thrive so much, is if we can eliminate all other factors but me and him fighting, we're pretty much almost always successful. So we had actually rotated here, and we pretty much knew we had this corner of the map ours, and we didn't have to worry about people actually fighting us or doing something. And so this is where kind of our strategy of no middle game fights really actually came into play for this match. So because the zone was so far, we ended up actually taking a quad crasher all the way over to this tilted hill. So we actually ended up having a setup kind of like this around this part of the tilted hill, where Cease would actually be on the back and held this edit, and then we were going to go forward. Now, at this point, we actually only had our 2 kills of the game, and we're going into late game with pretty much no utility at all. So we were really looking to hopefully get a kill as late game happened that could really help us out. So we ended up going straight into the zone. The next zone was around this kind of area here, and we ended up going straight into the zone and turtling right around my marker. And pretty much how this worked was Cease just sat on the back, we waited till it would be green, and then he would edit open the hole, and I would pretty much just go into zone like this. And this game we were actually very unlucky. We should have had a kill on Wsoe. Wsoe ended up actually grappling into a tree and then dying of fall damage, and so we were able to get his loot, but because he was edge of storm, he died on this tree right here. Because he was edge of storm, we had to actually waste one of his launch pads because we were kind of shambles and kind of panicking a little bit because it was one of our earlier games, and so we ended up actually wasting our utility, and we made a rush decision, and we ended up going right onto my marker with that launch pad. So we ended up setting up around right here, right next to Kacid and Myth, who we then, because we were kind of isolated in this low corner, we decided to aggro because we really needed utility, and we were still pretty scuffed on mats and shield. shield, and so we ended up actually aggroing him, and I was able to get a lot of hits in and got them down to 5 HP. But Cease was just kind of at a bad angle, just like the way the terrain worked, and so he was actually taking all the shots back. So we ended up actually not going for the kill. I just got them both extremely low, and they ended up dying. But because of this fight was taking a long time, because we waited for Cease to heal up, they ended up getting boomboxed by another team, and we were all just kind of stuck in this area, just boomboxed. And because of the zone was moving and really far this way, we pretty much had to slide across the entire zone, which was just a death trap for us, and we all just got picked off with ARs because we were edge. So this was kind of our biggest mistake, was ended up actually setting up on this ice, on the corner of the ice, not somewhere like you can generally get out of, but we were just pretty much committing to having to run on the ice. And that was probably a big mistake of ours. If we were actually able to stay on solid ground or launch pad to mid ground like what we should have, we would have been a lot easier, and it was pretty much our biggest mistake. So the thing is, the launch pad at the time had saved us for the time being, and it was a short-term call. It wasn't a long-term call thinking about this ice. And that's something that's really important for Fortnite. A lot of people call for the short term and aren't thinking about what you can, like, what's going to save you right now, not what's going to win you that game. And that's kind of my biggest advice for this game, and what I took out of it is short term calls are something you really got to think about, because although they can save you and you can feel like they're okay, you got to be able to look at your calls and be like, that could have been a better call. And this was probably like my worst call of the game, just to go on this ice, because we have to cross this ice. We should have gone to like under a tower or something, or like on the side of a huge tower, or sat mid ground on top of a team, or even gone for high ground, and we would have been fine this game. But I made a pretty bad call, and because of that we died. So this game was pretty much the main thing I learned from this was like this game, we kind of got unlucky because of the ice and the boom boxes, but I made a call that was more short term and more save my life for the time being oriented than long term, and what will help us win the game and what will take the next step. And in some of our later games, I felt like I was making a lot more long term calls, because I realized at this point in time this was a very short term call and definitely got us killed. So for all you IGLs out there, all you guys who love watching my videos, try to think about that. Try to think about not just if this call was right, but if this call was the actual best call you could have made. Because if you look at every call from a medium standpoint and see, could I have done this better even a little bit, it will really help you long term. Anything you can improve, if you know you need to improve, if you don't have that ego, you're going to get so much better. You're going to pass up a lot of people who think they can't improve. And with that, I'm going to leave this episode end here. Next episode will have a lot more in it as worth, because it was one of my two best games, are the next two episodes. This game was the most I learned from, but it was also my worst game. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and enjoy this series, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.